What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talk Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So we're gonna start today with a random sports thump, and then we're gonna talk about the AFC South and my division predictions for the AFC South. So to start off, the Anaheim Ducks have matched the 5-year, $90 million offer sheet for Leo Carlson. That makes him an $18 million a year player. That's a surprise to me, honestly, because look, Carlson's very good. He's only going to be 22 years old this coming season. He had 29 goals and 67 points in his age 21 season in his third year in the league for a Ducks team that had a very good year after years of misery, made the playoffs, won a playoff series, was in the conference semifinals in the Western Conference. Yes, that's not a player you want to lose. I get it. He was second overall pick 3 years ago. You don't want to lose that guy. That's more than understandable. But you would have gotten 4 first-round picks. Leo Carlson's great. Really good player. Only going to get better. But 4 first-round picks? That's a haul and a half. I think I would have taken that. And you're paying him $18 million a season. That's a lot. That's what guys like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Curly Kaprizov, the highest paid players in the sport, the best players in the sport. He's not in that, 5 or 10 best players in the sport. It's not even a knock on him. I just, he's on a level of Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl or Kaprizov or Austin Matthews. Or, maybe not right now, Austin Matthews, but Austin Matthews 2 or 3 years ago. No, he's not. He's a great player, but he's not on that level. So I would have taken the picks. Now the Ducks definitely can't keep his young quarterback if you're paying the guy who's. I mean, if this guy got an extension for 8, 9, 10 million, I think it'd be understandable. But 18, now that can't keep anybody. Cutter Gauthier is a guy who you trade for a couple years ago from Philadelphia, from a high pick by them. That didn't really work out in their system. He's gone to Anaheim and broken out. He's probably gonna have to get moved soon. This year, next year, whenever that may be. So maybe it's a chestnut checkers move by the Flyers. Maybe they were just a little pissed that, Cutter Gauthier kind of did what he did in Philly. Didn't work out, ends up in Anaheim breaking out. So they said, screw you. And he said, we're putting this giant offer sheet on Leo Carlson. Because they probably knew Anaheim's going to match. They just didn't think they can afford to lose him. And, they play chess and not checkers. I guess that's what happened. But so I guess good move on the Flyers part. Because now the Ducks are paying him $18 million a season, and they basically got him the cup this year. While your team's probably getting broken up to an extent because you don't have the money to pay everybody. And I don't think they'll win a cup this coming year, as good as the team is. And just wanted to go over the MLB Home Run Derby field. It's not full yet. You have 5 players in the field. Junior Caminero from the Rays, he's my favorite to win it. That dude hits absolute tanks on an absolute tear right now. He's in it. Ben Rice from the Yankees, he's had a good year. He's been struggling as of late, ever since Aaron Judge got hurt. These last few weeks, he has been struggling, but he gets 25 home runs on the season. Jack Caglianone with the Kansas City Royals is in it. Former top 5 draft pick. First couple years was not great. But he's had a better year this year. Still has not been the elite star we all thought he was going to be, but he hits the ball really, really hard. Got legit power. He's in it. Wilson Contreras from the Red Sox is in it. Proving he's still a very good player. Just got named as a replacement to the All-Star game. He's had a really good year, even at 34. He's already got 20 home runs this year. Still has legit power. It's a guy that's definitely going to clear 30 home runs this season. So it's one of his best years from a power perspective ever. And Jordan Walker was recently named to the Home Run Derby. Jordan Walker, a guy very high, was a high draft pick, very high talent prospect by the Cardinals a couple of years ago. Has not really worked out the last couple of years, spent time in the minor leagues recently, and this year has completely broken out. His bat speed has gone way up this year. He's hit the ball harder than he ever has this year, and he's had a really incredible year and is truly one of the best young players in baseball. Big kid too, 6'6", 250. He's got some of the best raw power of any young player his age in the sport. He's also a prime candidate to win this as well. If I had to pick, it would probably be either a Junior Caminero or Jordan Walker Yeah, because they hit the ball so hard. Also, Citizens Bank Park, the ball already flies out of that stadium when in real game. And now in a home run derby, oh my goodness gracious, the ball's going to be flying out of the ballpark as the home run derby is right around the corner. I'm going to get you guys the date of the home run derby right now. The home run derby is July 13th, so that is in 4 days. Friday, Thursday. It's Monday night. It's gonna be broadcasting on Netflix, so that might kill the vibe because Netflix, good lord, they are terrible at live streaming live sporting events. And two more notes I want to talk about basketball related. Knicks re-signed Jordan Clarkson a year for $3.9 million. The solid signing. Clarkson last year in 72 games, averaged 8 points a game, shot 45% from the field. He's a solid player. Older player, he's going to be 34. He's still a good bench scorer, number two ball handler behind Jalen Brunson. He knows his role. For a while, he didn't really even play much for about 2 months. And obviously, he had that one game against his former team in Utah Jazz. He goes off. That kind of got him back into the rotation. And he played sparingly in the playoff, but when he did, it was relatively effective. And he's got some health issues throughout his career here and there. But when he's healthy, this is a very solid bench scorer. As a reason he was sixth man of the year in 2021. He's been sixth man of the year, top 10 finisher two other times in his career. Heading to last year, over the previous 5 seasons, he was had the most bench points of any player in the league by a pretty wide margin. Knicks bring him back for just under $4 million a season. So they're still on the second A of him, but it's very close. They still have another roster spot. A player that it might get used on is Jonas Valanciunas. The Denver Nuggets have waived Jonas Valanciunas. Last year was in Denver, played 65 games, averaged 8 points and 5 rebounds, shot 58% from the field. He's a very capable backup big man. Again, older player. This is not a guy, who like in the prime of his career was averaging 17, 18, 19 points, 8, 9, 10 rebounds almost. And even had was never a good 3-point shooter, but could here and there make one. He's not going to do that anymore. Last year shot 30% from three on not even half an attempt a game. But he's a solid backup big man. The Knicks lost Mitchell Robinson, then they need to make sure they replace his impact on the glass. Already brought in Andre Drummond, and they can really fortify that by bringing Jonas Valanciunas. I heard they are linked to him. They're interested in signing him. They have one more roster spot. Fight to guess. Won't hear much about Knicks news in terms of player movement, I wouldn't think. Outside of whoever fills that last roster spot, it'll probably either be them signing him, some other small signing, or maybe like, you know what, we're just going to go into the season with this group. And maybe they'll leave a spot open for someone out of camp to impress a younger player, maybe to impress them, or maybe they'll leave it open until the trade deadline so they could make a move. Leon Rose has done that almost every year. He's been the GM. Not only with the OG, I know we tried a couple years ago. That was obviously a big trade, but getting Josh Hart for Kevin Knox and one first round pick, or Cam Reddish, wherever awful player that they gave up for Josh Hart. Getting Jose Alvarado for next to nothing, and then ends up, Hart obviously gets a 4-year extension. Alvarado's got a 4-year extension. I could see that happening as well. But let's talk about the AFC South. Uh, my pick to win the AFC South this year is the Houston Texans. I'm gonna have them go over the 9.5 wins. I went back and forth on this. You have what should be a pretty competitive division. Houston, team that has made the playoffs 3 years in a row, has won a playoff game in 3 straight seasons. Jacksonville won the division last year. Indianapolis obviously started off 8-2 last year. Then the quarterbacks got hurt and they fell apart. Titans are a team that has been very bad these last couple of years, but is better on paper this year. Houston Texans, I had them winning the division. I have my concern for CJ Stroud. He's obviously been very bad these last 2 seasons after a phenomenal rookie season 3 years ago. He should at least be a little bit better this year. They have natural three down back at David Montgomery. I think Woody Marks settling into that third down back role, running back 2 role, pass catching back is where he's suited best. Tank Dell, who was injured all last season, a very close friend of CJ Stroud. He pulled for him to be drafted a couple of years ago in the same draft as him. When healthy, he's been very good, very explosive. You'll have him healthy. I think he can be a legit number two next to Nico Collins. Look at the rest of that receiver room with Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel and Xavier Hutchinson. Having Tank Dell really lengthens that core of receivers. You have a good tight end in Dalton Schultz. And the offensive line should be better. You add Braden Smith, who's a solid right tackle. You add White Taylor, who's still a solid left guard, even at his age. You draft Keelan Rutledge in the first round. I'm not sure if he'll play right guard or if he'll play center. You can always play him in right guard. Have Jake Andrews start at center and outlay Ed Ingram as a depth piece. Look, Arianta Ursay is starting with tackle doesn't leave a whole lot of confidence for a team that's had a easily bottom five offensive line. But he was a second round pick a year ago. Maybe he gets better. The line still is not great by any means, but it is miles better than it was the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, it was easily one of the five worst in all of football. It's been atrocious these last 2 seasons. So the line's going to be back, so he has a better infrastructure around him. That defense is insanely good. Will Anderson is an absolute superstar. Him and Daniil Hunter form one of the best duos in the league off the edge. You have some good depth in the middle. With Sheldon Rankins is a good player. Tommy Togai's not a bad player. Drafting King McDonald stuck around is an absolute steal. He's going to be a molder against the run. Logan Hall isn't a bad player. Linebacker Al Shahir, a little dirty, but not a bad player. And the secondary is just nuts. Derek Stingley is easily top five in the sport. Kamari Lassiter is a good player. You brought in Reed Langton, who's a solid player. You have Jalen Pitre, who's a really good D-back. You have Kalen Bullock there, who's another good defensive back that you have. D'Amico Ryan's a very good coach, young coach, going into year four with the Houston Texans. Great defensive mind. And I do think I know he got some flack for not going to Davis Mills in the playoff game last year. I think that deserves some flack, but he's a very good coach overall. Houston is a very good team. And if Stroud, he doesn't even have to be elite like he was in year one. If he is just a solid starter, this team is going to easily win 10 games. And I think is easily the best team in the AFC South. And look, they were very close to going to the AFC Championship game where they would have played Jared Stidham and would have had a good shot to win that game. With Stroud playing as bad as a quarterback could possibly play in a postseason game. If he was just confident in that game, Houston wins that game against the New England Patriots in the second round. So if he can just go out there and be marginally better, there's no reason this team should not win 11, 12 games and be a contender. So I'll say Houston wins the AFC South. Part of it, I think all three teams, I don't think any team, this team is going to be just horrible. Like the Colts won't be as bad as they were the last, 7 games of the year. Even Tennessee, who I don't have super high hopes for, I don't think they'll be horrendous. But I'm not sure if any of these other teams are going to be a playoff team. Jacksonville Jaguars, I have them finishing in second place in the division. Their over-under is 8.5. Tough one to predict. That's about where I would have them to win losses. I'll say that they're just on there. Jacksonville to me, really nice year last year, winning 13 games, but I think is marginally worse this season. I just look at this team. They're not going to have a good running game. They may have the worst running back room in the league. Bishop Tootin right now is your starting running back. I don't think he's a starting running back in the NFL. You brought in Chris Rodriguez Jr. I don't think he's any good. He's not a great runner. Not bad around the red zone with the ball in his hands in space. He's okay as a pass catcher, but he was semi-productive that much last year for Washington. Still averaged like under 4 yards a carry. Like, what is Brian Thomas going to give them? Now, I think he can bounce back. His rookie year, he was electric. Last year wasn't great. Jacoby Myers is a good receiver. You had him for a full year. Parker Washington had a good year last year. If Bretton Strader was fully healthy, he's an underrated tight end. I like the offensive line overall of Anton Harrison and Cole Van Lannon. You have Walker Whittle for depth and Ezra Cleveland. Their line's pretty good. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if he's ever going to be this, absolute superstar we all thought he was going to be out of Clemson when he was the first overall pick in 21. I think last year's about as good as it gets, but last year he was very good. He was very good. Now he needs to do, a full season of being a very good quarterback. But this guy, what was he, fifth in MVP voting last year? And that doesn't tell the full story, but he was very good last year. What do you have, 38 touchdowns? Like, I think he can be that kind of guy. He can be a very good quarterback. And defensively, they still are a very good unit. Trayvon Walker is not Aiden Hutchinson, who was drafted over first overall a few years ago, but he is a very good player. Just got a big extension. Him and Josh Hines Allen are a very good duo off the edge. Eric Armstead, somewhat sold he'll be on the team week one, but a lot of speculation because of his age, his injury history, and his salary. He could get moved, but he's there right now. He's still a solid player when he's healthy. You have Rook World there for depth. So something of Albert Regis, who's also younger, cheaper, and also pretty solid. I think Foy said Olakun's a very good linebacker. They're gonna really miss Devin Lloyd though. I think that's a loss that people aren't talking about enough. They're really going to miss him. He did a lot of things for them against the run, in coverage, against the pass, and losing him was, I think, is they're definitely going to feel that a lot. And like the group isn't horrible overall. I just talked about Olakun, who is a very good player. I don't hate Jack Kaiser, who was a fourth round pick last year, but they're gonna miss him a lot. Even the secondary, Jordan Lewis is a solid corner, but Travis Hunter, I'm hearing he's gonna be a corner full time. He won't really play receiver much at all. I heard he might play like a package of plays. This is why wasn't sold on him coming out. I'm not sold that a guy can play two ways in the NFL. I don't think it's possible. Even if he's playing corner, every snap, and he's playing 10 snaps against the receiver, I'm a little bit worried. And that's what I'm hearing is going to happen. So I'm somewhat sold this guy can play even close to a full season, as talented as he is. So a secondary gives me worry because without him, the secondary is going to take a hit. Again, the group isn't horrendous. You have Jordan Lewis, you have Dane Jackson there, Jermaine Jones. You have some depth there. Eric Murray's a decent safety, but without him, that group looks a lot weaker. And I get me. You have a good young coaching staff. Liam Cohen did a really good job last year. Greg Udinsky and Anthony Cavanelli come back as your coordinators. That's a big plus. Kim Mills is a great kicker, which gives you an advantage too offensively. It's still a talented team on paper, but I think they're due from some serious regression. Could that be going from 13 wins to 10 wins? Yeah, that's possible. To me, they're a 10-win team and the year gets the ball bounces in the right way and they end up winning 12 games, 11, 12 games, and they have a good shot to win the AFC South again. Or they get a little bit unlucky and they aren't able to run the ball, and maybe Thomas doesn't bounce back and Hunter gets hurt again. They really miss Devin Lloyd more than people are saying. Like, I think they're going to miss him. And they end up probably 8, 9 wins, which are struggling to even make the playoffs, which I think is what's going to happen. In third place in the AFC South, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They're at 7.5. Again, that's about where I have them. I'll say just under that as well. With the Colts, I mean, look, yes, they were 8-2 last year. If Jones stays healthy, I'm sure they would have made the playoffs and would have had a good shot at winning the AFC South and may have contended. But that's not what happened. You have Daniel Jones coming off a torn Achilles. I'm not sure he'll be ready for week one. If he is, what does that look like? We've seen him before, put together multiple bad seasons, have one decent year, get a huge contract, and kind of revert back to being the turnover machine that he was. That's what he did with New York, with the Giants for many years, for 6 years basically. Now, the one year that got him paid the first time was not quite the year he had in Indianapolis. He was playing some legit Pro Bowl level last year. That one year with the Giants when they made the playoffs, he played some solid football, particularly considering they had so many injuries to the wide receivers. But, the guy had, 15 touchdowns and 3,000 yards. Like, last year, he was on pace to be one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the AFC and one of the 10 best quarterbacks in all of football before he got injured. And look, there's talent on this team. Jonathan Taylor is a top 5 back in the league, in my opinion. And there's some pieces on defense I like, but you're just not in a good spot as an organization to me. Shane Steichen, I think, is a smart guy, but no playoff within 3 years. He misses the playoffs again, which I think is going to happen. He's going to get fired. Chris Ballard, I don't know why that guy still has a job for how he's mishandled a lot of different things, including the quarterback position. And just, paying him 40 or 50 million a year for one good half season. If we had how many bad years with the Giants. And because you paid him so much, you're paying Jonathan Taylor so much, so he's obviously worth it. Some of the other guys are worth it. But to pay Alec Pierce $114 million, I like Alec Pierce. He had 1,000 yards last year, legit deep threat, but also 47 catches is his best in your career. You should not be making you know, 20.5 million a season. Like that's a lot for Alec Pierce. And I like him. I like Josh Downs. Like he's a good player. Downs is very underrated. But um, you don't have a true number one wide receiver to me. You lose Michael Pittman, who also I didn't think was also a number one wide receiver either. Is the decent loss even with Jonathan Taylor and even a really good young tight end and Tyler Warren there. But they have a good offensive line. Quentin Nelson's a stud. But you lose Braden Smith at right tackle. That's going to be a decent loss for you. And you have Matt Goncalves as a guard, but Raymond's a good young left tackle. You still have a good offensive line, but they are going to miss Ike Smith, I think, to an extent. And defensively, I mean, look, you have Sauce Gardner, who is a great corner. I still think it was worth two first round picks, though. And like I like Travarius Ward. I like Cam Bynum. You drafted AJ Halsey in the second round. I think that was a good pick. And for the fourth, Buckner is still a good player. Grover Stewart. It's a team that the linebacking core. I'm not sure what it looks like. I like CJ Allen as a downfield thumper. That's what he does. Bryce Bedinger could be fine, but you traded away Zaire Franklin for Corey Wooden, Colby Wooden, the tackle, who probably isn't going to start for you. I heard you have Michael Clemens on your roster. Get ready for a lot of personal foul penalties. Like Latu, the first round back, he's good, but he's not great. He had 8.5 sacks. Again, he's good, but he isn't great. So I think you have a solid defense. It's just a very middle of the road team. They're an 8 or 9 win team that, again, things could go out. Jones could look like himself coming off the injury, and maybe get some breakouts from a guy like Josh Downs, and they play well on defense, especially the young guys step up. And they're a 10-11 win team, and then they're a playoff team, and they're very competitive in this division. They also could be 6-11. Jones could look rough coming off the injury. They could miss some of the guys they lost with Michael Pittman and some and the other guys you lost because you're paying Pierce and Jones uh too much money. And then all of a sudden you realize, you also don't have a first round pick again this coming season. Can't make you have too much cap space. Jones do what, 40 or 50 million next year. Taylor's do like 15 or 60 million next year. Pierce is due 28, almost 30 million next year. A lot of big contracts. I mean, some of them are worth it. Forrest Buckner, Quentin Nelson, not all these guys, even Sauce Gardner. But just eventually, like you just don't have the assets to improve his team. So you're gonna have to let a couple of guys go. And you're gonna have to get worse before you get better, coming off another missed playoff year, which I think is more likely to happen. And then last place in the AFC South, I do have the Tennessee Titans. Now, I think the Titans are going to be a tough football team. I mean, with Robert Saleh, I've seen this movie before. So one about it was the Jets. It was the Jets. I think I know what kind of coach he is. You're gonna play a lot of defense. You're gonna play some legit defense. He's also gonna mismanage the living crap out of the clock. And he's a legit offensive coordinator. Now he has that with Brian Dable. He did not have that with the Jets. He brought his buddy Mike LaFleur with him. That didn't really work out. They changed it from Nathaniel Hackett, which didn't really get him fired. But Brian Dable was by far the best OC he's had as a head coach. It's going to be year 5 between the two teams as a head coach. I'm not sold on Cam Ward, never was, but he did play a lot better second half of the year. First half of the year, he was very bad. Second half of the year, he actually played some pretty solid football. And the receiving core, I don't love. I like Wendell Robinson as a slot receiver. I think you overpaid for him. Calvin Ridley at this point in his career is not the same player. And I like Colonel Taylor a lot. I heard they were raving about him at camp. He was the 4th overall pick. And he was a little bit rich in terms of the value, but he will be very good. But I'm not sure what he'll look like in year 1. Usually, receivers in year 1 usually aren't 1,000-yard guys. Like the Jamar Chases and the Justin Jeffersons of the world, being, off the player of the year candidates in year 1, that's not normal. That doesn't usually happen. Usually there's one guy who like maybe just plays 1,000 yards, has a good year, and the rest are just kind of okay. And look at the receivers coming into the league. If Jordan Tyson stays healthy in New Orleans, and all the other receivers that were drafted, Makai Lemon in Philadelphia. I'm not sure if Carl Tate going to be the guy from this class that's going to, in year one, be able to, almost legit one, basically. So, and you have a couple of other young receivers that I think are pretty good in Shamir Decay and Aleka IMR, but I don't think they're elite by any means. Like, your starting time right now is you're going to be Gunnar Helm, fourth round pick last year. I think he's just serviceable at best, or Daniel Bellinger, who you brought over from the Giants in a free agent signing. Again, good scheme fit because he rejoins Brian Dable, but he's not much of a pass catcher either. Like the offensive line, I mean, it's better. Year two of JC Latham, Skronsky can stick a guard now. Did more left tackle. I mean, you overpaid for him, but still isn't great. Again, you're going to be better on defense. And John Franklin Myers, a really good, versatile defensive lineman, good against the run, can push the pocket. He's a perfect fit in this rubber style system that's been proven. Jeffrey Simmons, as long as he doesn't get traded, he won't. That has been rumored for 3 years at this point. Is an elite D tackle. Jermaine Johnson is a guy. I think Jermaine Johnson is a guy who just fits Robert Saleh's scheme. I think Saleh did a good job bringing in Titans overall, as an organization did, getting us that fit his system defensively. He's got one star left, was kind of a shell of himself. The Achilles tear didn't help, but I think we'll play some very good football. So before the trade for him for Devonta Sweat makes a lot of sense for both sides. Both guys fit better in the systems that they're going to. It just makes perfect sense. You draft Kendrick Folk at the end of the first round. He'll be a really good run stopper in the league. Adding Solomon Thomas, who will never live up to being a top 3 pick in the draft. But again, he just fits the system as a rotational pass rusher. He can be very good. In secondary, Cordell Flott is a solid young corner. Dable was, is the offensive coordinator, but still, he knows Dable. There's some familiarity there. And you add Alontae Taylor from our Saints corner, who had a good year last year. So this team should be good defensively, but offensively, I think they are going to struggle a bit. I think Tony Pollard is I think he fits better in the role he was in Dallas as like the change of pace back than the 3 down back. Like he'll put up 1,000 yards, but he just on so many carries. He's barely clearing 4 yards a carry. Touchdown Spear is fine player, but he's a gadget guy, and you bring in Michael Carter, who knows Saul from the Jets, but he's a backup at best. And I don't hate them taking a flyer on Nicholas Singleton. I think Singleton's very explosive. He's also had a major knee injury last year. I'm not sure how long he's going to play in the NFL. So I do think this team is very young. I think they're a year away from being a year away at the very least. For their win-loss total, the over-under 40 Tennessee Titans was set at 6.5. Again, I think they're right around there. I'm going to say under. But I'll say they probably win 5 or 6 games. And again, they're a year away from being a year away. I think in a year or two from now, there's a team where they could make a legit playoff push. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.